Hey everyone, it's Sleepy Ron, and I'm back with
another Hypno 2 demo.
And in this patch, I have tried to add an entire audio engine to the thing, and then add that to all of the current sampling capabilities of the Hypno 2. If you're not familiar, this is Hypno 2. We've got 4 CV inputs on the back, 2 CV inputs on the side. We've got a power button on the left, a USB hub port here, HDMI videos going directly out. It is a small video sampler, and now I'm actually calling it a video looper because it can instantly loop both audio and video that you put into it. This is awesome for making some cool music videos, adding a music video that's like synthesized on top of your existing music. You can also do stuff like play backing tracks like MP3s and WAVs here right on device, and even play the samples inside with the MIDI keyboard. So while I go through this demo, I am simply going through on my laptop over here this website called docs.sleepycircuits.com. It's a whole wiki about Hypno 2. So if you're confused about anything on a device, just simply go to docs.sleepycircuits.com/hypno2/hypno2 manual, and there you'll find all the stuff that I'm about to talk about. Let's get right into it. Let's get First, we have this screen. This is what you will see come up on your first startup. It will ask you to set a password and a username, so that will unlock your SSH and allow you to log into the unit and use file sharing and all that. So make sure to set that up and plug in your Wi-Fi and all that, because the updates come over Wi-Fi on this device because they're all incremental. Make sure to check that out. This screen just says hello. This is the QR code to the all-important manual where I'm following along today, and then it will generally give you 2 options if you've used it before, just new if you haven't. This will restore the latest state that you have. This will make a brand new patch. To start, I'm going to hit new for today. Overall, yes, Hypno has these 3 knobs, 3 keys, and then a fully featured modern touchscreen. So these knobs are infinite encoders, and there's also haptics inside. On certain user interfaces where it's useful to have a tap, so such as on the file browser, you will feel little vibrations. These encoders are generally just labeled on the screen and then kind of spatially arranged. So the left one will control the leftmost element, the center one will control the value of that element, and then the right one will control the rightmost selection. So it's usually like X, a Y, the 2 parameters, and then Z. So this will control the value. These key switches represent the 3 channels. You'll see the labels change on the top. You've got channel 1, you've got channel 2, and you've got the main channel. Channels 1 and 2 are generators. So these are the channels that you can load videos or audio into. And then this is the main channel, which you can load video effects. All of these come with default 5 shapes and 5 video effects. On the init patch, we have basically loaded an image on the left and then a basic shader on the right, which is the sine wave. On the center one, you have these parameters, and then these little arrows will change which parameter you're controlling. So you can dial in a bunch of specific stuff like the effect of the feedback, the rotation of the feedback, and then this arrow should help you to change the effect to different ones that you may like better, or even custom ones that you've made yourself. Make sure to try out both the right and the left arrow blips over here. We'll show you how many pages there are currently. Hitting this again will reset you to the default page, and on these oftentimes there's stuff on the left that you can't access by going right. These are usually the color controls, and they're a great way to quickly access what you need. On the individual pages, you have the parameters specifically for that channel. Depending on what you have loaded in, these are going to be a little bit different. So you have very useful basic things like X offsets, Y offsets, frequency, which means zoom or how often the pattern repeats. And frequency, if you go negative, you'll actually start getting mirrors. That's pretty trippy and it's fun. You have cropping, you have rotation, so you can get a little sliver of your thing. All of these encoders is what I'm doing here is I'm clicking them. If you click it, it'll reset it to 0. If you click it again at that value, it'll actually choose a random value for that knob. That's really useful on the main channel. So if I go on the main channel and then I hit 1, I hit 2, I'll go back to black. So if you quickly need to do that, you can hit boom, click both of these, and you'll be on black. If you have a video loaded into channel 1, the basic controls, you also see loop in and out points and stuff like that. If you have a shader, you'll have these detailed shader parameters. So you'll have rotation, shapes, axes. These are a little bit different based on what you load in. There's 5 different ones, so I'll leave that up to you to explore. I have some more detailed videos on each of these parameters, and I'm sure more will be added. Or of course, if you're the hacker type, you can go in and make your own. So here, test. This doesn't do anything yet, but just kind of an example that you can load stuff in there. And then if you go in there, you can actually then even edit the shader on board. So let's just go over the main screen from the beginning here. This label will take you into the file selection, so the file browser. That lets you load anything you want, video or audio, into any of the channels. Or for the main channel, it's going to be FX prefix fragment shader effect that you can load in there. So if I have a bunch of files that I want to try out quickly, I could go into that folder and then quickly select a bunch of stuff from that folder. So when you're working with these, a thing that is pretty useful as an idea is to think of each of these folders as a sort of playlist, because you can then load these videos. Let me get a clean video here, and then go through them with the arrow keys to see which one you like. On the left here, we have the useful Add Preset button. You have 4 quick preset slots. If you hold, you'll see a little loading bar. It'll overwrite that slot. If you tap, it recalls that. So just be careful with those. But yeah, if you want to pull up something pretty quick, you can save it. It'll say slot overwritten, and then press it again once you're ready, if you want to do something with that. So I can go right back here. Right here we have the start stop. This is contextual based on which channel you have selected. On the main channel, you can start stop everything. On these, you'll start stop just that channel. And then if you're inside of a parameter, I'll talk about that in a sec, you can also start stop just a modulation for that parameter. For when you have a video, as you can see now, we have loop in and out points, pretty cool. Got frame rate as well. 0 will just be the basic forward, but if you're past -1, it'll actually start running in reverse. So you can, of course, play videos in reverse, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna go to this play modes here. You got loop, you got one shot, so it'll stop at the loop point. You got bounce, it'll actually ping pong and then go back and forth. So you can see the water's kind of moving back and forth now. We also have some advanced modes. So we got next, previous, random walk, which selects 50% next or previous video. You got shuffle, which is random, but keeps track of what you have already played. And then that's all of them actually. So we're going to be back to loop. Those play modes are really useful because you can then just have the video automatically advance to the next one. So as I was saying, it'll kind of treat this whole folder as a playlist. So if I go to next and allow this video to end on this last point, it will advance to number 10, 11, 12. Some of these will start advancing quickly because these loop points are percentage based. And then as you can see, you can really quickly go through all of these videos. So that's pretty useful if you have a folder of videos that you just need to play back, or you want to step away for a second and you have some long videos and you want them just to kind of play one after the other. I already talked a little bit about the presets. The presets are basically just JSON files that save the state of everything. They have just references for all of your videos. Those will update if you change stuff in the file browser. If you change stuff externally or you take stuff out of the resource folder, it will not be able to keep those links correct. So just keep that in mind. Be careful about changing the references or all the file paths of the videos after you've saved the JSON if you're intending to reuse it. But if you want to reuse something, really the best thing to do is hit record, make a little recording. By default, the recording will bounce down into the left channel. So you can see now I have just a loop of those ducks right here and a little loop that I can just use for kind of what have you. These recordings are going to be then saved here into the recordings folder, and I'll show you how to access all of these. It's pretty easy to just go through, load up stuff that you like. This, for example, is a piece of video that I've overlaid the synthesizer onto. And as you can see, if you do load audio into it, you will get a little bit of these waveforms in here, so you can actually see the audio. The frame rate controls also the speed of the playback of the audio as well. You can lock that if you go into the BPM page, which I'll tell you in just a second about. But yeah, just be aware that the pitch will change by default on these. If you don't want that to happen, you can actually set the master BPM to be on, and then make sure the sync is on in this one. And then what you'll be able to do is control just the pitch independently with this knob. As you can see, the label also changes accordingly. These labels will pull out all the symbol names from your shader files. So if you follow my templates and all those shaders that I just showed you, you can hopefully make your own effects. The main channel, it loads FX prefix shaders, and then we can go in there and select different stuff. But before we move on, I want to tell you about these little badges right here. As you can see, we have a V, an ampersand, and an A. If you hit the V, this gain will only control the video. If you hit the A, it will only the audio, and an ampersand will control both. So if I want to keep the audio from a video and just black out a small portion of it, I can just hit the video and then hit that. It'll black out just the video. As you can see, we're still getting audio levels, so the audio is still playing. Or also often useful, you don't want the audio of the video. Take that out, overlay something else. The channel's audio can also be overlaid with an audio device. I'll show you which button to press just a second. That's in the settings menu. Yes, there's a settings menu. There's a pretty intense per subsystem kind of tab interface here. And once again, the left encoder will control stuff on the left, right encoders control stuff on the right. This screen is pretty useful because it gives you basically all the info in a classic software style menu. You got your logs, you got your brightness. Use the center encoder in order to change stuff. So one of the first things you might want to set is, of course, the screen brightness. Turn the fans on and off. You can go to desktop, so you can use the regular Pi OS on this if you like. The encoders will then act as a sort of XY for the mouse, but of course the touchscreen works as well. You should be able to navigate about the OS no problem. I believe if you hit these two at the same time, it'll hit F11 in case you're in full screen and you get stuck in that. Then we got a few other kind of controls in here. Some of the more important ones are encoder acceleration. You can make the knobs touchier or lighter, kind of just user preference. So I leave that usually at 1, but you can mess with that. And then global mic gain of the built-in microphone, useful for tuning to different venues. So that's a little bit of the system menu. I'm gonna go into the subsystems here in just a second, but first I want to show you the mod menu. Each of these labels, they are tappable. So as you can see, everything that's a black box in this engine is a tappable button. There's like one exception, but that's kind of the case everywhere. If I want to say stretch out this video with the aspect control, but I want it to do it by itself automatically, what I do is I then hit that parameters label and start turning up the gain, and then select the function that I want to stretch it out. As you can see, I'm getting stretched out. You'll see here, this badge represents the built-in modulation. We have a bunch of different shapes in here, which you can explore. including smooth random, stepped random, pulse, and kind of a bunch of different stuff that you can use. The frequency will make it faster or slower. The gain will control like how much it's being affected. You could see how the parameters being affected right here in this number, which is also following this LED right here. This badge right here will allow you to assign CCs to each of these. For now, the channels are tied to the channels themselves. You have channel 1 and channel 2. You can then smooth those CCs and get a little bit more control over that. This clock badge represents the clocking of the internal mods. You can use different sources such as the analog clocks or the BPM of the master. So the MIDI BPM, you can sync it to the master BPM and all that. You can also choose on the analog clocks a retreg. So that means you can start the waveform whenever you have a clock come in, which is pretty useful for kind of using that as a sort of envelope. But also you can patch in whatever signal that you want up here. These little jacks represent the jacks on the back. These are standard 0 to 5 volt Eurorack signals that it supports. If you plug that in and touch one of these badges, you can then turn up the gain. Each of these have an individual mix, so you can kind of modulate to your heart's content. This ear right here, if you have an auxiliary jack plugged in, it'll turn into the aux jack, but by default, it's set up to the venue audio. So if I smack it, you'll see the green LED under there actually lights up. If you tap that, you will be able to use built-in microphone to modulate anything that you want. If I start smacking at it, you'll see that the aspect will change based on the audio in the room. So anything can be dialed in like that. Likewise, these last two badges are the individual audio tracks. If something is playing in the 1 or 2 audio track, you could use those to modulate each parameter as well. If you use these arrows, you'll also see low, mid, high band separation for those. So that's useful for isolating like hi-hats or kick drums or bass lines out of the different audio tracks. And then this is the contextual init key. If I hit it here, as you saw earlier, I reset just that mod. If I hit it on channel 1, it'll reset just channel 1. Likewise for channel 2, it'll reset just channel 2. And then likewise for main. But instead of having just that channel reset, main actually resets everything. So this is kind of the global init. It won't reset the files that you have loaded into the stuff, but it will reset all of the parameters and it will zero out. So if when you're ready to load something new and just start over, you can init and then start loading the files that you intended. If you don't like rinit, you can also set up your own basically just by taking one of these slots and turning them into your new init. Just hit that. Oh yeah, also I almost forgot, if you just hit the screen, you get a nice full screen preview, which is cool if you need to see the edges, just to make sure everything is fitting. As you can see, sometimes I had some stuff recorded in here where I made some black bars, which is what I intended, but if that's not what you intend, you can make sure everything's zoomed in correctly and looking good. Here, let's see if we can get into the file browser. I am gonna need to press this header, and then I will jump into the folder that the current channel file is in. So I can then use the left encoder to select stuff and then use the right encoder to see all the different functions. On the left, we have a lot of check marks. This is the global check mark, kind of like in your phone. You can select partial selections, full selections, clear it out. This allows you to do bulk selection, bulk moves, bulk deletes, and most importantly, decodes and encodes. By default, Hypno works by just storing the full frames of everything. This allows us to do all the jumping and all the glitchy action that you see in the main sampler. So when you first import a new video, you're going to want to select it, hit decode on it, and then you'll see a bar run across the top. Just give it a sec, it'll decode everything, and it'll be ready to go to load into the channels. If you record something on here, we're going to be recording just the raw video frames. That's how we can then loop those videos instantly. And then if we want to export that, in order to make it into a proper MP4, you'll need to hit this encode button. Once you hit that, once again, you'll see a bar, and then you'll have a full MP4 that's then compressed, that's easy to share, and is not quite large. So these icons in the top are going to let you access some of the most important stuff. So the plus on the file, that's an add file button. This search will let you search. It'll bring up a search field, and then This is your preset folder. All the presets go in here by default. You can then manage them in here. You can delete stuff. You can hit this label to rename each file. And then you can go into the reel is going to be just the basic resources folder. This is kind of the basis of what we have. You can load PNGs, shaders, library of all your videos that you have on here. Basically, however you want to manage it. Finally, on the right, we've got this camera icon. If you see NDI sources on the network, or we have webcams plugged in, just like this one, we will see it on this list. You could then hit load. And then what's not showing up right now is there might be another icon in here. If you have a USB device plugged in, it'll let you jump directly to opening that USB device. The file browser supports a range of actions. Click into stuff and then hit this top bar to go up or back. I can also open up, while doing that, JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, and then SVGs. An important one for logos. That allows your logo to actually load in at multiple scales, so it should stay nice and crisp no matter how far you zoom in or out in the system. And then for video, we can support MP4s, which is kind of our primary format, but MOVs also should work. For audio, we can now load in, of course, WAV files, and then MP3s, OGGs, and FLACs can also be loaded on each of the channels, so you can play back your different backing tracks, or even DJ audio with the Hypno too, if you so choose. So we can then load in fragment shaders. So all of these different effects that we have in here, they're just little code files that get loaded in. And then text files and our JSON files are also openable with this little text editor. And yeah, this is a full-on text editor, by the way. You can edit graphics, or if your custom effects on here, the symbols will pop out into the UI. So if you follow kind of the sample formatting here, basically the CCs, whatever they get assigned to, that's the label that comes up, and then the underscores get stripped, so that symbol becomes the name of that parameter. I can then go in here, type stuff if I want to like work on my effect, undo stuff, redo stuff, hit this to select stuff. If you select a thing, you can then cut, copy, and paste that kind of wherever you want. If you are scrolling over a number, modify that number. So if I go in here, I can then use the center encoder to change it. Let's get into the settings menus. So if you hit this little gear right here, we obviously have this system tab. This will give you all the global controls. The one to know here is here in view logs. It will show you the different subsystem logs. So if you're having an issue with MIDI, you can see here. So if I plug in a MIDI controller here, I'm gonna plug in my keyboard. You can go into view logs, and then you'll see the notes start popping up there. Really useful if you're just trying to get something working. Make sure your devices are working. Another important one, of course, system info. Change nickname, change the name of your device, change password, change the password. So if you want to access this on your network or file sharing, this will be the thing to keep track of. You can force update in case something goes wrong. Then you'll see the update. You'll see a bunch of text scroll by, and then you will eventually feel a vibration when this thing actually does a full reset. And oftentimes you'll need, once the engine pops back up again, you'll need to power cycle to get it all working again. So, you know, just be a little patient with that. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes less. The video tab will allow you to see what is plugged in. So right now we don't have an external display. It just shows the built-in 800/480. Hypno by default renders at that resolution and then scales up and down up to 1080p. If you have an external display plugged in, you'll see the full list of resolutions that your display supports, and you can select any of those that are under 4K, basically. There is a lot of displays under the sun, so please be patient with compatibility, and if you are having issue with a specific display, send us an email to support@sleepycircus.com. Audio subsystem here, so I have the J6 plugged in, that's this fella right here. You can then mute in and out. The HDMIs should also output audio on the HDMI. Then we have the network tab. Classic connect your Wi-Fi kind of screen. It'll just shows a list of all your Wi-Fi networks. This should be probably the first thing you do so that you can make sure to get updates. When you do get an update, you'll see this little version number turn into a button. You'll press that button and then hit yes on the pop-up and it'll run the update process. So now we're gonna get to the Bluetooth section. The Bluetooth section for now just does Bluetooth MIDI devices. If you have something like a Sleepy Mez, it's gonna try to pair to it. And then we got the LED turned on. Sleepy Mez has been connected. All right, now we're gonna see the Sleepy Mez show up in the list here of MIDI devices. Just like with the audio devices, you can mute in out just by tapping. Then sync will toggle whether the clocks are going out to that device or not. And then at the end, just to be complete, we have storage. Samba is on, so you can turn on file sharing. This will show you what to connect to. And then if any USB drives are mounted. If you plug a USB drive, you can't find it in the menu. This kind of copies out all of the storage capabilities into one screen. Now that we have Mez connected, you'll see the first party integration. The cool thing about Mez with Hypno is that we've got full dynamic maps for the Mez, including if anything gets remapped. So as you can see here, if I change pages, it'll actually show me. Mez has a ton of controls, so not everything's going to be all plugged in by default. Please make sure to check out the MIDI map on the website to have a full description of how to map MIDI devices if this confuses you. But as you can see for Mez itself, we have very detailed maps. And then the different channels on the Mez are going to be different channels on the Hypno. So as you can see, if I change the MIDI channel, my maps will also be changing. But yeah, if you remap anything, it'll also show up. Super useful. So now you can take any page and bring it with you wirelessly with the power of Mez, this cute little wireless MIDI controller. The other really cool thing about MIDI with Hypno 2 is that not only does Hypno 2 have a Raspberry Pi inside of there that has a Bluetooth radio, the hardware itself has an additional Bluetooth radio. What that means is that this device can act as a peripheral as well as a central MIDI device. So what that allows you to do is then use any of the parameters wirelessly from anything like a phone or a tablet. And if you want to know more about that, please check out my MIDI integration video. There's more details about how to hook all that up. It's super powerful, and you can break out any of the controls in any of the arrangements that you might ever want. Also, the MIDI supports the transport function. If I play stop, I will actually be able to trigger the synths play stop. You can do the same with Ableton on your computer or anything else. And that should be just about everything. As you could probably tell, this project is way overscoped, so thank you for your patience ahead of time for any bugs that might crop up. If you have any issues, please email me at support@sleepycircuits.com. That email is hooked up to all of my development to-do lists, so it is the absolute best way to contact me so I can make sure to track down and fix any of the problems that you may be having. I hope you have an excellent night and stay sleepy, my friends.